My dear friends, I have been reflecting these past few days on these words that St. Paul addressed to the Ephesians some 2,000 years ago, and that the church addresses to you and me today. Brothers and sisters, watch carefully how you live, not as foolish persons, but as wise, making the most of the opportunity because the days are evil. Ah, yes, the days are evil. So what else is new? If you watch television or read the newspaper, in a sense, it's maybe somewhat comforting to know that the days were evil then, too. But what does Paul mean when he says, make most of the opportunity? What opportunity is he talking about? I think he's talking about the opportunity to do good among so much evil, to be a light in the darkness, to do acts of kindness so that people who are awash in deceit and dishonesty and in the existence of prosperous sinners, that those kinds of people don't lose heart. Those good acts perhaps are more important than we think. They don't eradicate evil, of course. We know that. They simply and profoundly, like a light in the dark, are signs that evil will not ultimately triumph. One of my colleagues is a priest in the Diocese of Trenton, New Jersey, and he was telling me about this. I didn't know this, but there's a group of sisters from the Mother Teresa community who have taken up residence in Asbury Park. And they're doing the same type of thing that Mother Teresa did in Calcutta. Asbury Park is an area of poverty and drugs and all kinds of stuff like that. And he makes the point that they are not relieving all of the hurt and all of the drug abuse and all of the hunger in Asbury Park. They know that. But by their presence and by their charity, they are a fount of kindness, he calls them, amid so much harshness, a sign of hope for people who desperately need it. They cannot feed everyone in Asbury Park. They cannot attend to every sick person there. But the ones they reach and touch with love give others hope. And they're following the example of Mother Teresa. I remember one time, when she was alive and working in Calcutta, people were impressed with her. And when they would say to her, one of the things they said to her is how she felt about the fact that she was making just a tiny dent in the human misery in Calcutta. For the task there seemed so overwhelming, so hopeless. And she replied, I do not think the way you think. I do not add up. I only subtract from the total evil. I like that. That's our job, to subtract from the total evil. I found something in my files. This is a commencement address by the journalist Anna Quindlen. She was a former columnist for the New York Times. I certainly didn't always agree with everything that she said, but I think she had a beautiful insight here. She's talking how kids are graduating from college. This is Villanova, and there they are, their cap, their gown, their diploma. She says to them, you cannot be first rate at your work if your work is all you do. So here's what I want to tell you. Get a life, a real life, not a manic pursuit of the next promotion, the big paycheck, the large house. Get a life in which you are generous, care so deeply about life's goodness that you want to spread it around. Work in a soup kitchen. Be a big brother or sister. All of you want to do well. Here's the money quote. But if you do not do good too, then doing well will never be enough. I love that. If you do not do good, then then doing well will never be enough. Doing good. One at a time, one by one, consistently, that's what we're talking about. And even though we can truthfully say there's so much crime, there's so much violence, there's so much terribleness, what good can I do? The answer is that we can make the most of the opportunity to subtract evil. I remember an old story. I think I could have been more than maybe 10, 12 years old when I first heard this. An old Indian legend. It is a legend. It certainly didn't happen, but it's a way of looking at reality. There's this 12-year-old boy who dies, Indian boy, he dies of a snake bite. The poison took away his life, and his grieving parents carried his body to the holy man in their tribe and laid the body before him. And the three of them sat around the body sadly for a long time. And then the father finally arose and went over to his child, stretched out his hands over the feet of the child and said, "In all my life I have not worked for my family as I really should have." And the poison left the feet of the child. The mother rose and she stretched out her hands over the heart of the child. And she said, "In all my life I have never loved my family as I really should have." And the poison left the heart of the child. And the holy man went over and stretched out his hands over the head of the dead boy and said, "In all my life I have not practiced what I have preached." And the poison left the head of the child. And the child rose up, and the parents and the holy man rose up, and the village rejoiced that day. You see what that is saying? A little poison subtracted here, a little there, they all add up to bring back life. And that is our calling, our vocation. That's what we're here for, to make a difference. To make, again, in the words of St. Paul, make the most of the opportunity because the days are evil. Amen.